Title belts to Hall of Fame. Doug and Tommy carved the name. Fists of fury and hearts of gold. Every story, every fight retold. Tales of glory, laughter, cry. Tennessee warriors with hearts open wide. In the ring or on the air, legends living without a care. On the mic they roar, on the mat they soar. Dangerous conversations, fans wanting more. Podcast kings ruling the waves. Memphis wrestling raising the stage.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Dangerous Conversations with Dangerous Doug Gilbert and Tommy Wildfire Rich. Guys, we're fresh off of Thanksgiving. How was your Thanksgiving?
Man, dude, mine was great. I spent it with my wife, my nephew, and everything. We had great Thanksgiving, and I couldn't ask for more. We had great food, great desserts. It was like I need some more food and desserts. But anyway, Tommy, how was yours?
Gobble, gobble, gobble. It was, hey, man, it's a thing. I love Thanksgiving. I love to eat. And just in the communion, just getting to see some family. I went to my wife's mother's. We went to Charleston, which she lived about an hour and a half from us. We went up there and had Thanksgiving dinner and got to see all of her family. And it was nice. We had a real good day, watched a little football, just kicked it back a little bit. And, and the food, she cooked some every kind of food I think there was, and as many desserts too. I mean, and I just seen the thing on TV the other day by Damon Woody, I think who it was. He said, if you're going to bring a dessert to my house for Thanksgiving, he said, it better not be a store-bought one. And let me tell you, when I say they wasn't a store-bought nothing there, they wasn't a store-bought nothing there. It was all homemade and finger-licking good.
And that's how you do it there. Before we started recording, Doug, Tommy was describing all the desserts and everything, and I thought he was talking about a buffet, but no, this was at the house. Everybody made all this and brought it. That's amazing.
Oh, you and Ken sound like you should have invited me and you, don't you?
I know. I mean, we had a couple of desserts, but nothing like that.
Well, there was plenty here. Y'all always doors open to y'all. I just figured that's a little long ride for y'all.
Yeah.
It'd been a little shorter. It'd been a little shorter for Gene than what me would have, Tommy.
Yeah, he's a little closer. I don't know about it. He ain't a whole lot. Gadsden, he had to take all the back roads from Gadsden.
That's right. So, guys, on Thursday night, after Thanksgiving was wrapping up, the Doug and Tommy's Dangerous Thanksgiving Special episode of Dangerous Conversations dropped. And, man, we've been getting some really great feedback on that. Folks have enjoyed it. They've loved hearing the stories of those Thanksgiving cards and getting to hear a lot of the different stories that came to mind when you guys heard these matches and the guys involved. A lot of fun stuff in that show.
Man, I really enjoyed listening to Tommy talk about it more than I did anything I had to say. But, I mean, I love all the Thanksgiving and Christmas shows and everything else. I mean, they kind of, I don't want to say stick out a little more, but I just think you remember them because it's holidays and everything a little more. But, I mean, like I said, nobody quit booking angles or anything, so you still had to work, and, that's our business.
Well, that's right. And if folks enjoyed the Dangerous Thanksgiving special, get ready till they see the Dangerous Christmas special we'll have in the store for them. But we'll have more on that later on.
Hey, I just like to wish, I hope everybody else had as good a Thanksgiving as we did. I mean, bless everybody. I hope, everybody's Thanksgiving was good. And there again, if y'all are tuning in, give us a thumbs up, man. Get us on Yelp, whatever, the stars up. I don't know about all that stuff, but anyway, y'all give us a plug if y'all are enjoying it. We certainly appreciate it.
Yeah, we sure do. And like Tommy said, I hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving. Rate, review, and subscribe, whatever platform you're listening to us on. We sure appreciate it. And, man, like I said, I hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving like Tommy did, myself did, and Gene like you did.
It was a great one. And, somebody sent me a video yesterday and said they thought I would enjoy it. And I was checking it out, and it was from WrestleCon from this year. I think it was called the Mark Hitchcock Memorial Show, and it was a reunion of the full-blooded Italians. There was the Big Don teamed up with Little Guido. They had the manager with them, and it was a match against Los Boricuas. Man, it looked like y'all had a blast doing that, Tommy.
Oh, I'm telling you, and then people up there, that was 1990. And FBI still hot as it was back then in ECW days. Little Guido, of course, what a talent he is. And, we just had a good time with it. And, people up there is great. Wrestling fans everywhere is great. But just to get to go back in time a little bit and do something like that, I had a good time with the FBI, being the manager, the Big Don, and to go out there and wrestle with Little Guido, man, it was really good. And that Philadelphia arena, man, it's a heck of a place for wrestling anyway. It just, the folks there is great.
Hey, Gene, I saw the picture of Fabio, but who was the other guy with him?
Miguel Perez Jr. was his partner, and then his daughter was their other partner. And, of course, Tommy and Little Guido was joined by Diana Perazza on their side. So it was a mixed 6-person tag match.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't know Miguel was there. I went to Japan a bunch of times with him. He was really cool and everything. Good worker.
And
Fabio's great worker.
Oh, absolutely. And if you want to see pictures of that, it is on the Dangerous Conversations with Doug Gilbert and Tommy Rich Facebook. Make sure you follow that page as well. We're up to nearly 4,000 followers on that in just a few months now, guys. It's building up quick. So we sure appreciate that, and we try to keep content on there daily. And we put matches, pictures, news articles, all kinds of great stuff from the careers of both Doug and Tommy and Mr. Tommy Gilbert and Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert and all these guys. There's so much great stuff from your careers that there's plenty of stuff for us to put on that Facebook frequently, and we certainly do. So we got some upcoming events. We talked about early this year, Tommy was a part of the reunion of the FBI, and now we've got the revival of the Memphis Mafia that's getting ready to go on tour here coming up in 2025. But hey, 2024 ain't over with yet, guys. As this drops on Saturday of this week, December the 7th, Pikeville, Kentucky, Wildfire Championship Wrestling is coming to town to the Shelby Valley High School. You guys ready for that one?
Yes, sir. It's going to be a little early Christmas there. They got them Russians. We're going to be there against them. And then you got Ricky Morton's going to be there, Kerry James, Hillbilly Gill. It's a cast of characters. And going up to Pikeville, man, it's always they old school wrestling fans, and it's always great to go there. And December the 7th, we're looking really forward to being there. And hope everybody comes out for a heck of a holiday show.
It's great to go to Kentucky, Gene, and wrestling.
Oh, yeah, Kentucky's just a beautiful state. Always fun to have an excuse to go to Kentucky, right? Because not only are you going to be there the 7th, but, Tommy, I seen a video, 14th, Saturday, December 14th, you're going to be in Sandy Hook, Kentucky, once again for Wildfire Championship Wrestling. You guys are burning up the roads there in Kentucky.
Yeah, we got a few things going on. This first of the year, we're going to be running some more shows. I think January 4th or something. But we've got some more dates that I'm sure going to let folks know about, and I'll let you know about too, Gene. I appreciate you giving us a holler.
Oh, yeah, always happy to promote anything we can involving you guys here on the show, so we'll certainly keep everybody up to date on what's going on with Wildfire Championship Wrestling. And again, I mentioned we got it coming up, the big Memphis Mafia Revival Tour coming up. It's been 35 years. We talked about this last episode. It's a big happening, and one of the first bookings that the Memphis Mafia has taken, you guys are going to be going to the big TWA One and Done event at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia that we were just talking about, Saturday, May the 3rd, the Memphis Mafia versus Team Extreme, the franchise Shane Douglas, and a mystery partner.
Tommy, that's going to be a great night, ain't it?
Yes, sir. Hey, that's I don't know who Shane Douglas going to bring with him. He better bring somebody, But
I'm hearing rumors. It could be. Well, I don't guess I should even say this, but I'm hearing rumors that it could be another other than Tommy, another maybe former NWA World Champion in the ring that night. But nothing's confirmed, and y'all know how this business is. Everything's got to be approved, and but man, it'd be cool. And there's 3 or 4 other guys that I've heard names that's been dropped, so and all of them would be cool also. But I mean, it'd just be really cool to be back in the building wrestling. Last time I wrestled there, I jumped off the no, I don't think that was a night. Yeah, no, it wasn't a night. I jumped off the what do we call it, the crow's nest or balcony or something. But I think the last night I was there is when I didn't jump off the scaffold, but had the scaffold match.
So, Doug, you've jumped out of the crow's nest, so I guess this time it'll be Tommy's turn? Is that how this works?
Yeah, I think Tommy said he's good for it.
I'm your grounded pound man. I get up much past that second rope, my nose start bleeding.
I hear you, man. Well, either way,
y'all talking about Doug being in that scaffold match 20 foot above the ring. I was in one. Me and Austin Idol against Lawler and Dundee, and
it was 30 foot.
That's probably the scariest I've been in my life.
That's the tallest scaffold I've ever seen. Even you go back and watch it on video now, and you're like, "Good Lord, what were they thinking setting it that high?"
It was 30, actually 30 or 35 foot, I think, above the ring.
And that Dundee, he was up there jumping around. He wasn't scared. He wasn't scared a bit. I guess he done some scaffolding in his younger days or something, because he was up there jumping around. Oh, you couldn't have drove a pin up my you-know-what. I was scared to death.
Well, Bill's a freaking trapeze artist, so he guess he was used to being up high like that. So, oh my goodness, I can't imagine what that was like.
I think he still does that.
I'm sure he does. Given the opportunity, at least, he probably would. And he probably would get up on a scaffold and wrestle next weekend. If you want to bring him to Pikeville, y'all could probably recreate that scaffold match.
Well, if you told him that Tommy was going to be his partner against him, he would.
I don't know you'd ever get Austin Idol back up that damn scaffold again, but Bill would go.
Oh, yeah. I don't think Austin's like me. He didn't want to go then.
I can't much blame either one of you, but that's going to be a fun night. And whoever Shane Douglas brings, I mean, if you're going to call the Team Extreme, he's going to have to bring somebody extreme to take you guys on. And that, like you said, Doug, that opens the door to so many potential partners. And I have been on the computer this week looking at options for plane tickets. I'm going to find a way to be there with you guys. I want to be there for that meet and greet. And I got to see this show, so I'm gonna figure out a way to get there and be a part of this with you guys. It's too good to miss.
It's going to be a big show, that's for sure.
Yeah, we'll find you a way there.
Well, folks, if you want to get your tickets, they're available now. I see Bay Ragney has been posting. You may know him better as Chubby Dudley. That the first row seats are already starting to sell out. So don't wait around. Get online. You can go on Facebook and search TWA One and Done. You can go ahead and get your tickets for both the Fan Fest and the matches that night. It's going to be a lot of great stuff happening. They've made a bunch of big announcements, a bunch more to come. And, of course, as we go along, we're going to have Bay here on the show to talk about that event. And we're going to have Joel Goodhart here to talk about both One and Done. And also, as I mentioned before, we're going to talk to Joel about what a critical part of Tri-State Wrestling Alliance that Doug's brother, Eddie Gilbert, what a part he played. He was a big, big star in TWA, and he had a lot to do with why those shows are still talked about to this very day.
That's a fact.
It sure is. I mean, man, like I said, if people want to pull up something and see some stuff, pull some of that stuff up of Eddie and Cactus, and Eddie gets a lot of the guys up for Joel. Eddie and Terry Funk. Eddie, and there was a bunch of different guys Eddie worked for up there for Joel, and I mean, it was really good stuff. And like I said, the first one I think for Joel was like Tommy against Slater with Dominic Benucci, like we said before.
Yeah, I was a big tape trader back in the day, and when I first started in, some of the first matches that I had my sights set on was getting a hold of those matches of Eddie's from TWA. Because I'd read about them in the magazines, I'd saw pictures of them, but I had never actually got to see footage. So I sought those out and still have them to this day on a VHS tape whenever I can find my freaking VCR to watch them. But
that's cool.
So, guys, I want to ask you about something. We've talked about in the show. You guys you've been called by a lot of monikers over the years. Tommy's been part of the FBI. You guys have been the Memphis Mafia. People refer to you guys as Memphis Legends. But at one time, I understand that the famous radio duo of John Boy and Billy gave you a moniker that perhaps not a lot of people are familiar with. They called you guys the world's dumbest criminals. How did that come about?
Oh my gosh, Tommy, you guys tell this story.
That's before we came to Memphis Mafia. We were just testing. Yeah, that was a bad week. Me and Dougie, we took off in the car from we started out of Nashville and worked our way up. We had about a 4-day run till we got to Huntington, West Virginia. Was our first night for this. I can't even remember the guy's name that we wrestled for. But anyway, we get to Huntington, West Virginia, and man, we wrestled at the field house. And
we wrestled the Battens, Tommy.
Huh?
It was the Battens that we wrestled that night, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the Battens, yeah.
The Battens wins. Remember them, Gene?
I do. We've been watching them on the Memphis 1985 show that I do for Wrestlecopia.
Right, and they was good guys. One of them has passed away, right, but one's still alive.
Yes, sir.
Isn't he? Okay. Go ahead, Tommy. I'm sorry.
So anyway, we get to Huntington, go in, everything's good. We get there, and all the boys are there, but the ring's missing. Well, they had a little over 800 people was there. And the guys, they were going to cancel the show. So anyway, we looked around and found wrestling mats. That's Marquis Says Wrestling said, well, let's make an announcement that the ring, because the ring didn't show up, but we didn't want to let all that money get out the door either. So anyway, they ended up putting wrestling mats down, and everybody went on the mats and wrestled. Well, our match come up, and so we go out there, and it's just like a ring, except it ain't got no ropes or nothing on it. It's just the mat. Everybody been mat wrestling the whole night. So Doug and me get out there with the Batten twins, and we get to going. And anyway, I had a headlock on one of them, and I said, shoot me off, one tackle, drop down, I'll get it again. He said, huh? I told him again, and he thought I was an idiot. Anyway, finally I said, just shoot me off. So he shot me off, and I run to the edge of that mat and lean back like I hit them ropes and come off and give him a tackle and run and hit the other one. And then people went crazy. Yeah, it was something else. Because the whole night everybody been mat wrestling. They just thought that was the greatest thing in the world.
And Tommy, and Gene, the partners, like when Tommy was in and I was out, they had a chair sitting on each corner where the partner was sitting in the corner.
Yeah. It was, but them people, they didn't a lot of them ask for their money back. There was a few, but the biggest part of that crowd, I'd say over 3/4 stayed for the show, and we entertained them. That's for doggone sure. And so anyway, we went to the room, and it's a bad night because we thought we was going to get screwed then. And so that worked out. Well, the next night, we in Sistersville, West Virginia.
Or actually, afternoon, right, Tommy?
Yeah, it was afternoon show. That's exactly right. So we go to Sistersville. Well, we get there, but there's rings set up this time, and you know, and the JCs is promoting it there. These two guys went through the JCs that did Huntington. So anyway, we get there. Well, the two guys, they don't show up. They're not there. Well, the JC guy, he comes up to us, and we're talking, blah, 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 blah. And we told him about the night before, and we said something about our money. And so he went ahead and paid us our money. So I'm getting dressed. I went ahead and I got dressed, and, you know, everything was good. So I go out and sign autographs. Dougie's back there getting dressed. And anyway, gets about time for close to the matches. And Dougie comes out and said, well, Jimmy Golden was there. I can't remember who all was there. Jimmy Golden. It was a decent little card. And he said, the guy told them that the show's canceled. So we didn't think nothing about it. I mean, if you go do a show, I mean, you're supposed to get paid, whether, you know, whether there's 10 people, no people, or what. And if the show gets canceled, you should get paid, you know. And it don't always happen that way. And lucky we got our money before the show. Well, I guess it ain't so lucky. No. But anyway, so me and Dougie get dressed, and nobody says a word. The JC guy didn't say nothing. Well, we get in the car. We're going down the road. We get about 30, 45 minutes away from the thing. We're following Jimmy Golden. And all of a sudden, these blue lights come on. Well, the blue lights come on, and there was a store. We were fixing to stop at the store. So, and we thought they wanted Jimmy Golden. We didn't know we'd done nothing wrong. Jimmy was always in a little trouble back then. So anyway, we pull in. That cop car pulls right up behind us. Says, stick your arms out the window. And I look at Doug, and he looks at me like, what the hell's going on? And so finally we get out of the car, and they said, where's the gun at? We said, gun? We don't have no gun. They said, can we search your car? Well, they searched the car. They didn't find no gun, but I had a little bit of smoke in there. Yeah. One of them left-handed cigarettes, not a right-hand. Anyway, so they carry us over to the court. The court was right next door, so they carry us over there and charge me $200 for that. But then they tell us that the JC guy called the police and told them we had robbed him at gunpoint. Said I robbed him at gunpoint, and Dougie was out there in the getaway car like we that done Bonnie and Clyde or something, you know. So anyway,
and Tommy, hold on a second. Now, Gene, you got to realize I've never been in any trouble. Right. I've been in jail before. So now, Tommy, you go ahead and tell.
And they tell us to just leave our car right there in the parking lot. It was Dougie's car. He said, leave it in the parking lot right here at the Speedway. And we had to go back 45 minutes in a police car to Sistersville, West Virginia. So we had no vehicle, don't know a damn soul up there,
and Gene,
except the one that said we robbed him.
Yeah, and Gene, when they was taking us back, before they took us back, they handcuffed us and said, if one of y'all's arms comes over the seat of this car, we'll shoot you.
Jeez.
Remember that, Tommy?
Yeah,
because the Ken Patera, remember the Ken Patera and Saito deal? That wasn't that in West Virginia, Tommy, or Gene? Wasn't that where that was?
I don't think it was in West Virginia, but I think that was right around the time that all that shit happened. Now. Yeah,
and they told us that if our arms come over the seat, they would shoot us. And I thought, what in the hell is going on? Now go ahead, Tyler.
So anyway, we get in the car, and that JC, he was, I guess, of course, everybody up there was related, but one of his cousins or somebody was a policeman, so he called them and told them that we robbed him at gunpoint, which was the furthest thing from the truth. You know, we asked for our money, which we should have got anyway, and then they canceled the show. Well, we got in the car and left. That's the reason we didn't know what the heck was going on. So, but now we go back 45 minutes at Sistersville, West Virginia. I don't know if you ever been there, Gene.
Can't say that I have.
But, well, have you ever seen Andy Griffith?
Yes, sir.
Well, the jail was kind of like Mayberry. It was a little old jail with about 4 or 5 jail cells in it. And so we go in, and Tommy Ridge. Oh, they knew who I was, and they knew who Dougie was. So now they had to put the orange jumpsuits on. Well, this is on what? Saturday night, Dougie? Saturday afternoon?
No, Sunday afternoon.
Sunday afternoon, that's right. So anyway, we end up, they put us in jail, and of course they all coming up to me. I smoked me a cigarette. One of them had a cigarette. But then one of them told us, he said, I can get y'all out of here if y'all want to. He said, my sister's a nurse, and I can get her to come over and put a property bond or something, whatever. So anyway, we said, well, that's cool. So anyway, we standing there, and all of a sudden this lawyer comes in, and he says, who called for the attorney? And that boy stepped up and said, it's me. He said, he said, God, and he used that GD word. He said, you can't get out of jail. You can't get nobody out of jail. He said, if you call me again, he said, I won't even come back over here. So now then me and Dougie's really worried because he put the heat on us. So now we're there, all night. We don't know a soul there. And they done told us we've been robbed at gunpoint. And so we sit there and we spend the night. Of course, I took a shower. Dougie, he didn't take no shower.
I had never been in jail and had never been in trouble. And,
so anyway, we're in there.
Not to interrupt you, Tommy, but Doug has said this several times now. Is the implication that you perhaps had been to jail at this point at some point?
Well, there's a fair chance I probably had because anyway, see, Gene, you got to be a smart aleck, don't you?
I just want to clear all the people listening right now are wondering.
Why I got to be the problem child.
Hey, that's why Jerry called him Don and Dan and Joe and Jack.
Yeah, you've been in there your day, so I think. But so anyway, now then, so we're in there for the night. Well, this one boy comes over to our cell and spilled some coffee on Dougie. I said, no. Dougie, if he can get up and whoop him, I thought, we won't never get out of here. And
Gene, dude walked in, there's 2 little beds. Like I was laying up on one bed, Tommy's laying up on the other. And dude come in and spilled coffee on me. I jumped up and I was about to hit him. And Tommy said, no. And I thought, what in the hell? I ain't never been no jumpsuit before, suit, whatever it was, like that before, orange suit and sandals or whatever they was that they give us that we had to wear and everything. But I had never been in nothing like that in my life. And I told Tommy, I said, oh my gosh, this is awful. We won't never be able to do anything again. Tommy said, oh, it ain't nothing. This ain't nothing. And I thought, what do you mean it ain't nothing? We're in freaking jail. And so I called my mom, and I tell her what happened. She says, son, how much money you need me to send? I said, it was $10,000 a piece. I said, so $20,000. But right before that, Tommy told me, he said, if we get somebody to get us out, we just won't ever come back to West Virginia again. And I thought, well, shit, I ain't going to get my mom to send $20,000. Let's not come back.
Right.
So I thought, I'm not going to do that. So we're going to have to figure something else out.
So anyway, we spent that night, and was it Sunday afternoon that the 2 state troopers come in, or was it the next morning?
It was the next morning.
Next morning, these 2 state troopers come in. They said, hey, Tommy, come here. Well, Dougie got up like he was going to go too, and they told him, they said, no, we want to see. We don't want you to come. We want him to come. Dougie's face, boy, it changed. So anyway, they carry me in the office, and first you talking about I've been to jail before. Anyway, they pulled our, I guess you call it your rap sheet.
Yeah.
And Dougie's was like just one, like it was a little, like anyway, mine went down to about their knees. You know, my records went down to about their knees, and Dougie's went to about their neck. So they said, since you've been in more trouble, this is what's going to happen. We're going to charge you for a fine. And so we had worked all weekend to make it. They knew exactly how much money that we had. And so they told me, they said, what we'll do, we're going to charge you, and they won't charge Doug. But it's going to be, it was basically all of our money. So I went back, so I said, well, that's cool, that's fine. As long as we can get out of here, that's fine. And so we go back, they take me back to the jail cell, and I told Dougie, I said, what the hell did you say to them police? I said, they madder than hell with you. Boy, I couldn't because I knew everything was chilly then.
Yeah.
But Dougie's face, boy, I thought, oh God, I had to tell him too quick. His face, when I told him.
Hey, I'm scared to death.
So anyway, but the next morning now we got to go to court, and we got them orange jumpsuits on. They got them anklets on us and handcuffs.
Yeah, Gene, they've got us handcuffed and a thing down to our feet and cuffs around our feet and chains up to our arms, and they walk us down the street like to the courthouse.
Oh,
like
and it's raining. Remember, it was raining.
Yeah, I mean, but now they've got handcuffs on us, cuffs on our ankles, chains from our ankles to our hands.
Like the Manson
That stuff
family.
you see on the movies. That stuff you see on the movies when they got them handcuffed and they can't hardly walk. That's the real deal.
And you just kind of slide your feet because you can't. You know, I thought, what in the hell have we got into?
So anyway, so we go in, and the judge says something, and Dougie said, well, I ain't got no money to pay mine. He said,
well, here's the thing. Tommy never told me about the deal about the money, though. He just comes back out of the court deal and looks at me and said, I'm going to need your money. I said, well, how am I going to do
that's
that?
what it was.
And he said, well, you're going to be all right. So I said, well, okay then. And so, like he said, go ahead, Tommy. You can go.
So anyway, they found us not. I mean, we wasn't guilty for having no gun because they never found no dang gun. But anyway, they took all the money we had. You know, even not just the money we made for that day, but for 4 days we've been on the trip. We had a couple of grand apiece, and they left us about $200, $150 apiece, so we could get our ass out of there and get back to Nashville.
Wow.
Yeah, we had like $4 grand, Gene, and then I guess they did like Tommy better than me. They left him $200 and me $150 or something.
So now then we're done with that, and so they let us out, and we say, because the car's 45 minutes away, and we asked them how we supposed to get back to our car, and one of them was a real smart ass. Of course, they was all kin to each other. Even the guys that was in the jail cells was kin to the police outside, and they said, well, I guess you'll have to call a taxi. Hell, ain't no taxis out in Sistersville, West Virginia.
No.
So anyway, thank goodness the two state troopers give us a ride back to the car.
And they was the two, Gene, that told us about the law enforcement, about everybody up there, about after the Kim Patera and the Saedo thing, that was law enforcement's worst fear was wrestlers. And then when they'd heard the deal about a gun, and, then the state trooper said that they knew there wasn't guns involved or anything. But, I mean, I don't know where that guy got making that up at. But anyway,
because that was the only way they pull us over, because he couldn't just say he gave us the money and we left. Yeah, that ain't a robbery there. If he gave us the money, he had to say we held him up.
Right. Yeah, he couldn't say you sweet talked him out of the money and now he's changed his mind. It's, hey, you robbed us at gunpoint.
Yeah, exactly. Like we Bonnie and Clyde. Somebody else had helped us, and Doug could probably tell you more about that, but Bert Prentice.
That's who wound up calling up there, Gene, and talking to one of the guys at the that had something to do with the wrestling deal was Bert, and Bert really helped a whole lot on that deal. And that's why I had told you before, Bert always was real good to me, and anything he told me or anything I asked of, he done. And I had called him from up there and asked him, did he know anybody? And he said, yeah, let me get on it. And he did get on it, and that really helped us.
So anyway, we get on down the road and pull into a little gas station, and Dougie's out there pumping the gas. I go in to pay for it, and there's this old hippie boy. Anyway, we get in the car and leave, and
but hold on, while Tommy's out there pumping the gas, I go in the gas station, take me a shower in the sink. I take my shaving kit in there where Tommy's all going to jail. I ain't never been in jail as far as I had a couple of assaults when I got out of high school when guys had wanted to fight and everything. But that's the only time I'd ever been in any trouble. But I didn't go to jail or nothing for that. But anyway, I walk in the bathroom and I go to freaking washing off and everything. I come back out to the car and we get going down the road, and Tommy said, look here. And I look, and he got some more smoke. I thought, then I get paranoid. I thought, oh my God, we're still in West Virginia. What in the heck are you doing?
And Dougie said he'd never be back in West Virginia again. And to the best of my knowledge, I don't think he's ever been back to West Virginia.
Oh, I told Tommy I wasn't ever going back to West Virginia, and I didn't even want to fly over West Virginia.
Yeah, because I mean, man, if things would have went sideways, you're out there in the middle of nowhere, West Virginia. I mean, those guys could have did whatever, killed y'all or anything, and who could have ever known?
Well, that's what the guy said. I mean, and the two guys that was carrying us back and had us handcuffed and said, if your hand comes over the seat, well, our hand didn't even have to come over. They could just turn around and shot us. Yeah. I mean,
that's the story that would have went around, that you guys tried to assault them in the car, and they had to shoot you guys to defend yourselves or something. Because I mean, things like that happen. Bad stuff happens in jails. I think we all, know a story that I truly believe that's what happened, and we won't go into that on this podcast. But
right.
This is certainly a happier ending than it could have been, for sure. Hey everybody, Gene Jackson here, inviting you to check out the Retro Wrestling Review, where each week I'm joined by some great co-hosts who help me review classic episodes of USWA Championship Wrestling, and right now we are doing week-by-week reviews of 1993. But we don't just do reviews, sometimes we get a chance to interview some of the people who were there and lived it, plus do watch-alongs. It's a lot of fun, so check out new episodes that drop every Wednesday at Wrestlecopia.com. And to find links to everything associated to the podcast, you can go to USWApodcast.com.
Hey guys, Ray Russell here, curator of the Wrestlecopia Podcast Network, inviting you guys to listen to many of the programs here as part of the Wrestlecopia brand, including, but not limited to, the Wrestling Memory Grenade, currently covering the 1988 and the WWF project. You can also listen to the Regional Wrestling Podcast, where we talk the territories, whether it's Jamie Ward with Georgia 81, Roman Gomez with the UWF in 1986, or Gene Jackson covering Memphis in 85. 3 projects going on right now over there at Regional Wrestling. You can also listen to the Wrestling Stoop with the legend himself, Bob Roop. Bob goes back in time each and every week, covering not just his career, but countless stories and interactions with hundreds of wrestling names spanning his 2 decades in the business. But that's not all. You can also check out the Puro Wrestling Academy with the professor of Puro Resu, Mr. Dan Ginnity. Dan and I go back in time and cover the history of Japanese professional wrestling in the English language. And you can listen to all of those shows and more, all part of the Wrestlecopia Podcast Network, located over at Wrestlecopia.com. That's WrestleCopia.com, and anywhere your podcast streaming needs are met, from Apple to Spotify, Pocket Cast, and beyond. And while you're at it, why not subscribe to our social media guys for all the latest goings on here at the Wrestlecopia Podcast Network. Plus, I'm constantly adding old school video clips and pictures from throughout wrestling history. You can follow us over on X, formerly Twitter, at Wrestling Grenade. That's at RASSLIN Grenade. Also, follow and like me, Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. And why not subscribe to YouTube.com/Wrestling Grenade. So if you're looking to support that next up-and-coming podcast brand, please consider making it Wrestlecopia.
Oh, you ain't lying. When Dougie says I wasn't scared, I was scared till I talked to the state troopers and knew we was going to get to go home. I was kind of scared my dang self.
Well, you wasn't too scared. You sitting out there smoking cigarettes on the picnic tables with them guys and then giving Tommy their food. And I told Tommy to eat my food. I didn't eat. I didn't take a shower while I was there. I didn't eat. I did nothing. I just stayed in the little cell thing. And I was killed.
Oh, and then, hey, remember, and Dougie was laid up, like his bed was next to the wall. Mine, they could look in there and see. Well, at a certain time, you're supposed to get up. Well, Dougie wasn't up. And so I'm laying on my bed, too. And when the police said something to me, I said, well, Doug ain't up either.
yeah, he stooged me off, and I looked at it.
I said, well, you need to tell him to get up, too, if you're going to make me get up.
So that shows how come Tommy was. He'd go out there and smoke cigarettes with them guys. I just sit in there. He'd go out there and eat with them. I just lay. I didn't sit in there. I laid in there. Like he said, they couldn't see me and everything. But it was like he said, it was a Barney Fife jail. Everybody was kin to everybody. The guys in jail was kin to the cops outside. The guys in jail was kin to the dang lawyers. Everybody was kin to everybody there.
So how many autographs did y'all sign during this process? I know at least one,
I'm
sure.
We signed a few.
Yeah, a bunch. And the kicker was the TV was on the wall, one of those square box TVs, you know. Mm-hmm. And the news come on that every time the news would come on, it had mine and Tommy's picture on the news that we had armed robbery or something, it would say. And I thought, oh my gosh. And I told Tommy, I said, oh, this is awful. We won't never be able to do anything. Get Tommy said, oh, this ain't nothing. I thought, what do you mean it ain't nothing? I thought it was the worst thing in the world.
Well, I mean, because we ain't really actually done that. We didn't have no gun and hold them up. I mean, you know, but it was definitely, and especially, you know, I mean, in Sistersville, West Virginia, you know, that's one of them places you come up missing, nobody ever know.
Yes, absolutely. So, all right, so to Doug's point here, now, you know, Tommy, you said you guys didn't do anything, and you didn't, but we all know that doesn't necessarily mean anything once a story has gotten spread out there. I mean, it was getting put in wrestling magazines, it was getting put in the dirt sheets, and, of course, you know, telephone, tell a friend, tell a wrestler, the story spreading like wildfire, so to speak.
I know it was really kind of good publicity.
Well, tell us how this went on the other side of that. How did it come back around to you? What versions were you hearing from people? How long did it take you to get the real story out there?
Well, the only way we knew about the radio show was my little brother called. We was on the road. Remember Steve called and said we was on the.
Yeah. He said, and this killed me too. He said, y'all made the John Boy and Billy show. I said, do what? He said, y'all the world's dumbest crooks.
Oh, yeah, because, see, we didn't figure my plan, I said, ain't nobody going to know nothing about this, no way, up here in Sistersville, West Virginia. And we made the Billy Bob show, Jimmy Bob, whatever it was, yeah, the world's most dumbest criminal. And we knew if my little brother knew about it, everybody else did too.
I said, and Gene, you know, that's when like John Boy and Billy, they're still on today. I mean, that's when they was really hot, which are still really hot, I guess, because they're still on today. But I thought, oh my gosh, and that really made me shake my head when Steve called and told us that. And I told Tommy, I said, oh me, this is awful.
Did Lawler write something about it in the program?
Yeah, Gene, you got
I've got that right in front. I got that in front of me right now.
What's it say, Gene?
So the big headline in bold print: shocking news. Tommy Rich and Doug Gilbert busted. And then it says beneath that, The following story recently appeared in weekly national wrestling publications. And it says, Tommy Rich and Doug Gilbert spent a night in prison. Prison? Really? Like, it's a little jail. They're called it prison. I'm picturing freaking Alcatraz. Spent a night in prison on 4/20 after being arrested on charges of taking money under false pretenses and possession of less than 2.5 grams of or maybe 15 grams. There it is. It's kind of blurry. 15 grams of marijuana. And then it goes on to give your name and age, and released the next afternoon after pleading guilty to misdemeanor charges. Ordered to return the $500 cash they received the night before for headlining a show that they apparently walked out on. And so it goes on from there to say that only 100 fans showed up, and you each were promised $250, and you asked to be paid up front, and then you immediately drove off with the money.
$250.
I was thinking to say we wouldn't even drove there for $250.
No, I think we both got about $1,000 apiece.
They must have thought Jerry Jarrett was booking that show or something. I don't know.
Yeah, Jerry Jarrett, Eddie Marvel.
Eddie Marvel, yeah. Wayne.
And Jerry, I think Jerry Lawler wrote that program anyway. That's back when he didn't like us anyway.
Yeah, clearly.
He wanted everybody to think we went up there for $250.
Yeah, most people think that he's just burying you by saying you got busted, but in his mind, he's like, "Oh, I'm burying him by saying these guys work for $250."
Yeah, and went to prison.
That was the first thing when Doug sent this to me. The first thing that jumped out to me is when it said, Tommy Rich and Doug Gilbert spent a night in prison. I'm like, nobody spends a night in prison. Like, that's not how prison works.
That's where that mafia comes from. We escaped. We're gangsters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Called the Memphis Mafia for nothing.
That's right. Y'all live the gimmick. That's
Yeah, that was the beginning. Oh, gangsters.
But people love spreading stories in wrestling, and nobody comes back and prints the retraction or corrects themselves. Because, like I said, I heard this story. What year was this? Was this 97?
Yeah, I think it was. G.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
So I remember reading this in wrestling magazines in 97 and hearing people talk about it for years. And none of these magazines that printed this ever went back and corrected it or told what actually happened. I mean, it's just you guys walked in, demanded money, and just left.
No, Gene, me and Tommy have never said anything to anybody about it, to be honest. I don't think I have a time except when, a couple of our friends, we just laughed about it afterwards. Finally, it was, like I said, I thought it was the awful thing in the world when it was going on, but when we got out and everything,
when we got out.
Yeah, when we got out. Hey, we had a three-way call, me and Tommy and King did after that program deal and everything. That's back when he didn't like us very much. And then I've worked with him since then more than anybody has and made more money with him than anybody has, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Hey. He is what it is. He didn't tell no story. That was the headline.
Yeah. He just reprinted a story that was going around. There is that part of it.
But anyway, we had a heck of a three-way call that day.
Yes, sir, we did. Yeah.
I'm sure that sounded like some of those promos that went on TV.
And when you heels, it don't hurt anyway. It wasn't. We never had no problem with it. Nobody really ever. We didn't. Like Dougie said, this is probably the first time we ever told this story.
Yeah, it is. And here's the thing. Like Tommy said, Gene. If he wanted to smoke after that, we'd be going to the ring. People say, "Tommy, you want some weed?"
It happened on a good day. It happened on 4/20. I didn't realize that until you said it. That was on 4/20. It happened.
Yeah, talk about irony there.
Yeah, ain't that something? When I looked at that and saw that, and remember I told you about Gene being 4/20, I thought, and then when me and Tommy be going to the ring, people would say, Tommy, you need any weed? I got some here. I'll just give it to you. And I thought, I guess that's where Tommy said it comes out better sometimes. But Anyway, like I said, it was during the time it was going on, I thought it was the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I can imagine that. And like you say, you don't really know how you, I mean, because they've got you at their mercy as far as how you're going to get out of there. And, you know, they can paint the picture however they want to at this point, even though you're armed robbers with no gun at any point in the story. Did you tell me, oh, yeah, we had a gun, but we got rid of it? I mean, even if it wasn't related, obviously you didn't rob anybody, but what would have sucked is even if you guys just happened to have a gun in the car because you kept one on the road with you, then that could have been a whole different twist to it as well.
You ain't lying. It would have went completely different. You ain't lying.
You ain't kidding. And, I mean, you know, years later, I started carrying a gun with me all the time because things, you know, had got, you know, bad and everything. Like I said, people had started with, like in Nashville with me and Tommy, like getting out and coming at us with weapons and stuff, you know, on the road and everything. So, I mean, I'm sure glad I didn't have one in the car during those days.
And so this was your run-in with the law, and then never again. You guys haven't had any more problems with the police. You've been perfect model citizens.
Well, I might have another mug shot or two.
Well, and
I know there's one going around Memphis and me and Bill Dundee one time. So.
Yeah, but he's talking about after that.
Oh, after that, well, maybe not.
Yeah, well, no, I don't have one anyway. But and I don't think Tommy does either. But no, like I said, that was an awful experience for me anyway.
Yeah, that's a pretty famous mugshot, the one with you and Bill Dundee, Tommy. That one makes the rounds. I think we need to put that on a T-shirt or something.
Hey, Gene, did you see the one time? If you saw this where they've got it and got you and Bill singing, or got Bill singing and you?
I did. I think I got it on my phone.
Terry said she seen. She got it on her phone.
Now that's great. I got tickled. I saw that the other night and laughed, and I was trying to figure out how to send it to you, but anyway, that was I thought that was funny and everything. But no, Gene, it was the whole deal with that was. I mean, like I said, me and Tommy had been on the road for 3 days or whatever it was, 3 or 4 days, and everything but that first night, the ring night showing up, and we didn't ask for our money up front that night, but we should have because the guy was fixing to cancel the show, and we knew we wouldn't have got paid then, and we done drove up there. And, I mean, when we get booked, we're supposed to get paid. I mean, I don't care if somebody cancels the show or whatever the circumstances are. Anybody that booked us, and that was our deal, was going to pay us. And everything, and no, Tommy didn't have a gun. I didn't have a gun. I mean, it's just that was crazy.
And that was the biggest part of the reason we asked the JC guy come up and said he was running with these guys, and we told him what happened the night before, and if we could get our money, we'd sure appreciate it. Exactly what we said. And he said, "Oh, no problem." So he paid us our money. I went back, like I said, I got my boots on. It got close time. I mean, there wasn't hardly no people there. I don't even think it was 100 there. But anyway, I went out and selling pictures. Doug, he was getting dressed. Anyway, he come out and told me Jimmy, the guy told him the check canceled. And what do you do? I mean, I wasn't going to go get my money back. I mean, we were owed the money to begin with. So, you know, all in all, we just got hoodoo's what we got.
Yeah, in the end, they hustled you out of all your money, not just what you had gotten from this guy. But you know, that's something that people don't talk about enough. Something that guys faced back then. You know, there wasn't PayPal and Venmo or none of this stuff where people could send you money up front. I mean, if anything, they would have had to Western Union you money. So, you know, talk about a few situations like that where you know you roll the dice on a new promoter you're not familiar with, and you travel from Tennessee to West Virginia or wherever the case may be, and you get there and you're promised money, and for no fault of your own, a promoter decides to cancel. Most of the time, unless it's just a really good human being who pays you at least half of your money or something, you're just out for that trip. You're just completely lost, on the money.
Yeah, and see, Gene, to be honest, somebody had told Tommy about these guys and said they was good, or we wouldn't have went. Me and Tommy never asked for half our money up front, but that changed after that.
Yeah, that was a start. Yeah, of wanting you, especially. I mean, like if it's somebody you worked for before and you knew them, that's one thing. When you drive 300 or 400 miles, and you know people, and you know that was our taste of that, to where we did start, you know, asking for it up front, especially if you didn't know the people.
Yeah, and I mean, Gene, if we knew them, we didn't ask for nothing because we knew they was good. But like I said, these guys were supposed to be good. I mean, Tommy had talked to people about them, and they said they was good for everything and don't worry about anything. So, like Tommy said, we'd worked Friday night. He'd come from Atlanta and met me in Nashville. We worked Friday night around Nashville. Then we drove up there and worked Saturday night. And then we were supposed to work that Sunday afternoon, and then all that took place Sunday afternoon. We wound up not getting back home till like Tuesday or Wednesday or something.
Well, what an adventure. And, that's, you know, you guys have alluded to it a couple of times in different episodes. You've kind of made mention of it, and I've wanted to ask about it because, again, you know, you guys have done shoot interviews and different things, and I've never heard this come up and be talked about. So I was really excited that you guys wanted to tell the story and that, you know, people could hear it. And like you said, it's not something that either one of you has really talked about until right here on Dangerous Conversation. So this is the kind of exclusive stuff folks
heard it first. You heard it first right here.
And one of the police officers at the thing after they, you know, when they stopped us, which they told me to get out and back up. They like Tommy said, put your arms out or whatever. And they said for me to get out and walk backwards. I thought, what in the hell? Which Tommy had been telling me to watch my speed because, you know, the cops up through them little roads give you speeding tickets all the time, which I was watching my speed when they turned the lights on and everything. But when I backed up and put my hands on his car, he frisked me. I said, man, what did I do? I thought, they don't do this to you for speeding. He said, I think it's grand larceny or something like that.
Yeah.
When you stole over thousands of dollars or something. Mm-hmm. And I said, we didn't burn anything down. And he said, I said grand larceny. I thought he said arson.
Arson. Right.
Arson. Yeah. I said, we didn't burn anything down. So then he thought I was being smart. And so, but one of them, the other police officer, come over there talking to me. I said, buddy, we didn't do anything. So then they went and got Tommy out of the car. The other guy did that was talking to me, and they run both of our sheets and seen that I didn't have nothing as far as anything. And he didn't like Tommy right off the bat just because one time in Ohio or something, Tommy was flipping his Lincoln. He got DUI or something, and one of his friends had been killed by a drunk driver. So that made him hate Tommy. And it went bad from there.
And just for the record, I got out of that too. I wasn't drinking. I did flip the Lincoln though, but I wasn't drinking. Cost me a bunch of money for that too.
But it made that cop mad as could be.
Well, and I'm gonna tell you what else made him mad too is, like I said, I got caught with a little smoke. Well, you remember. Used to, we wore the fanny packs, right? I stuck my fanny pack up under the seat.
Hey, Gene, you should have saw this. Now, this acting job Tommy pulled out. Tell him, Tommy, what to do.
So anyway, like it's got 3 zippers on it, but there's like a little one in the front, and then there's the big one, and then it's got like a little hide zipper in the back. Mm-hmm. Well, that's where my smoke was at. So I unzipped the one, I unzipped the other one, and I flipped my bag around like he ain't gonna know what I did. I unzipped the same zipper twice. He said, I want to look in that other one back there. So that kind of made it bad a little bit too, I guess.
Yeah. I think that was the other thing, the other part of it, that he wasn't on Tom. He wasn't on either one of our sides by no means, but he didn't like Tommy a lot more than he didn't like me. And every little town we'd go through, Tommy would say, what's your speed? What's your speed? And I said, I ain't speeding. And then all of a sudden the blue lights come on. He said, I told you speeding. He knew that's what they was getting us for. That had absolutely nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I still don't like his speed. That's what Terry Lynn just said. She said he still does that. We would pick her up today. I was telling my grandson, I said, we done see 3 cop cars. I said, you better slow down a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I ain't driving, so ain't none of my business, no way. But I still don't like to go fast no more.
Well, that's understandable after stories like this. That's such a wild story, and then for it to end up on the nationally syndicated John Boy and Billy show, as and made a joke out of. But I find it funny, like after everything, your former world champion, you've been on TV all over the world, and your brother's like, "You made it. You're on John Boy and Billy as the world's dumbest criminal."
Yeah. He thought that was great. Yeah.
Yeah. He thought it was great, and I put my hands over my face as quick as he said it. You asked Tommy, I thought the world was coming to an end.
So initially you think it is, and then you're like, well, okay, this isn't so bad. And then you hear about this, and you're like, oh, crap, yeah, it is. It's up and down.
Yeah, well, I did, but Tommy still didn't think it was bad. He said, oh, we're fine.
Well, I was worried about it till I talked to the police, but I just didn't. Dougie was already. I mean, he was, because like he said, he ain't never been in no trouble, which I ain't never been in no trouble, especially in Sistersville, West Virginia. And I mean, we we didn't know nobody there. I mean, that was kind of scary,
Right.
And it ain't like you had cell phones, they had cell phones then. I mean, everything we did was on like their phone. I mean, they let us use the phone and stuff to call people. Usually see they get that one call. They did let us make a couple of calls.
Yeah, like I said, I called my mom. She was going to send $20,000, but after Tommy done told me we wasn't going back, I thought, no, I don't have to pay my mom back $20,000. So,
what did your dad think of this whole situation, Doug? I don't guess he ever experienced anything quite like that in his days on the road, did he?
Well, my dad and them did some things that, they lived a little different than we did, but they just did different things than we did. But
right.
But they never had to deal with no people like it was territories back when Tommy was doing it too. It was territories, and you knew your money was good back then. When the territory stopped and you started working these independent shows, that's when everything changed.
One day, I'm sorry to interrupt, Tommy. One day he asked me something about it, and I explained to him the whole deal and everything, and he said, "You don't need to work for them anymore." I said, "I'm not even going to that state again."
And I've been back many times.
And I'm never going back. I told Melissa, don't even look at a flight that flies over West Virginia.
But up there in West Virginia, it's a special place up there. I got to figure, like, around Tennessee, I'm sure you guys, got pulled over for speeding and different things, and it was like, oh my God, Doug and Tommy, and it was like high fives all around, right?
Oh yeah, we got pulled over once or twice a week in Tennessee, and they just talked to us, and we signed some pictures and go right on about the business. Except one night the cop was going to he might have given us a ticket. It was snowing. We was coming back from Memphis, and he got stuck in the median, and me and Tommy pulled out. We was taking the whiz on the side of the interstate, and he pulled over, flipped his lights on, but he cut through the median. He got stuck. Me and Tommy took off. We run. we was like Bonnie and Clyde that night.
Well, guys, this story was more fun than I even was expecting, and I knew going into it probably had to be something. But man, armed robbers.
But Gene, can you imagine them walking, them having us in them suits, them orange suits, and little flip-flops, little 99-cent flip-flops on them, and them walking us with our hands cuffed and a chain to our ankles and our ankles cuffed, and us sliding our feet about 3 blocks, walking us to the damn...
In the rain.
Like in the rain. Like the freaking Manson family or something. Like you were that big a threat to society in that moment.
Right. Well, they told me, though, the biggest fear was wrestlers and everything. After that deal happened with Patera and Saito, they said that the police's worst fear up there was wrestlers.
I'm guessing you guys weren't on near the steroids that Patera and Saito was, right? I mean, that was probably a factor in all that rage that...
if we was on
I don't know if it's steroids or them guys or not. They pretty psycho without it. I mean, you figure Patera, I mean, Olympics and you know, I mean, and Saita, I mean, they just were some bad men, you know. You know, just decided they'd had enough.
And they've been drinking a little bit, I think. And but they said that was their thing, was that their worst fear when they heard wrestlers was the police. I mean, was pulling guns first. They wasn't playing.
So you feel like there probably was some special wrestling training at some point.
And Patera and them wasn't playing that night that they got in their trouble either. I mean, they took out a few of them. I mean, so you could understand them. You could understand, you know, police having being leery. You know, I mean, got.
They took out like the whole police force and paralyzed. I think it was a woman, half her body, didn't they, Gene?
Yeah. So as the story goes, you know, Patera. A lot of people think that Patera and Saito at the McDonald's got in this big brawl, but the way I understand it is Patera went to go try to get something to eat at this McDonald's, and they refuse him service, so he throws a rock through the window, and he heads back to the hotel where Saito is, and the cops come there to arrest him, and, of course, you know, Patera pushes back. Saito doesn't know what's going on, and he just starts kicking cops' ass because all he knows is cops have come up in his room and he hasn't done nothing. And he's a tough guy. And Patera's a volatile guy as it is, man. Like, I've seen, like, conventions, somebody will ask him a question he doesn't like, and you think he's fixing to, like, just beat the hell out of some fan. Like, he can go from 0 to, like, ready to snap somebody's neck in just no time at all. Like, not the two guys I would want to mess with, even if I was packing a gun like one of these police officers were.
No, and like I said, that's why the nice state trooper that carried me and Tommy back to my car, he explained that to us.
Yeah, I assume, like, once that happened, there was probably, like, a memo that went out in all, like, police, you know, stations that, like, hey, these pro wrestlers are bad news, all right? We got a paralyzed lady police officer up here. Like, if you get crossed with any of them, you know, don't take any chances. And, you know, fast forward a few years later, and they're threatening to shoot you if you raise a hand at them in the car. And you guys don't even know what's going on at this point.
You ain't kidding. I'm scared. I thought once we went through that little court thing with Tommy and Smoke that it was done. And then after that's when they told us I guess I was really shook. You guys, Tommy, I have never been through anything like that before, and I hadn't been through anything like that again.
Oh, yeah, rightfully so. Now, I got to ask this. I was thinking this, reading this story. So this happens in 1997. Had this happened a few years sooner, what do you imagine your brother Eddie's response would be as you were telling him this story after it happened?
He'd said you and Tommy didn't have anything else? Taylor said he laughed. He would laugh. Oh, he would laugh.
I was thinking, although probably the response would have came back, well, I don't know, because he probably would have been with us and been right in the middle of it with us.
Well, that's true, too, and everything. But no, he'd had something funny to say. I guarantee you what they told us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he'd probably been mad about him doing it because we didn't do it. You know, we get accused of stuff without getting accused of stuff that we didn't do. You know, I mean, yeah, it was. That's what was so wild. I mean, if it's something we done, we'd stand up to it. I mean, yeah.
If my brother was still been around, he knew people everywhere to call. Also, I could call him. Right. But I mean, you know, that goes back to that and everything. But it was just one of them deals that you don't want to be a part of, Gene. Don't even want to get into. I mean, it's and like I said, me and Tommy have never even told this.
Yeah, that's crazy that this is the first time this story is getting told. So that's pretty cool, listeners. You guys are the first people to get to hear this. I hope this episode blows up, gets shared around. I hope it becomes a famous story. Who knows, guys? But you may get a request at some of these conventions to show up in jumpsuits and shackles to take pictures with fans to recreate this situation.
Shoot, I might have to turn that down. Tommy price ain't good.
Hey, if the money's right, Tommy, take that picture, right?
I guess y'all both got a point there. What was I going to say? Oh, I was going to get a gun permit. My first gun permit I got after that. And what was the deal? When I was reading you in my gun permit after that, the guy told me, he said, hold on a second, did you do something in West Virginia? And I said, yeah, I wrestled there. And he said, no, I mean, have you been in trouble? And I said, no, I haven't been in no trouble. And I was thinking, oh my gosh. I thought, now they said they didn't charge me with nothing, and they probably have, and everything, but they wound up looking at it, and they just had seen my name, but they didn't charge me with nothing. They just charged Tommy, because like Tommy said, that one guy didn't like Tommy too much, and I guess they give us a break, which I don't know what they, like I said, I don't even know how they could charge Tommy or myself, but anyway, it's one of the things. But remember, everybody rate, review, and subscribe. And whatever platform, I guess I need to turn the light on here. Yeah, whatever platform you're listening on. And also Pro Wrestling Tees, Gilbert store, if you want any T-shirts, they're right there. And if you want any shirts from Tommy, he's got them. And he can tell you how to get them. And
hey, what about the new Memphis Mafia T-shirt and hat, too? Y'all ain't said nothing about them. Them are cool looking, Gene.
Oh, yeah, you got to get your Memphis Mafia shirts and hats and everything. They're going to be on Pro Wrestling Tees and everything, and they're really cool.
Yep, we're working on getting those onto the Pro Wrestling Tees store. I can throw them up over on the T Public store I have for the USWA podcast and everything, but we're going to try to get them up on Doug's store on Pro Wrestling Tees. But those are really cool. I think everybody's going to like those, and we're going to have a few different pieces of merchandise to celebrate the anniversary of the Memphis Mafia that I think people are going to find to be really cool. 2025 may just be the best year yet, guys. I'm excited.
Good deal. I hope so. Anybody would like to book Tommy or myself, Memphis Mafia 2025, just hit us up, hit Gene up on Facebook, and we'll get back with you.
That's right. We will get you in touch for whether it's to wrestle or an appearance, signings, whatever you got. We will get you with Doug and Tommy, and we will make that happen. And we just really appreciate everybody listening and sharing. And if you enjoyed this episode, you enjoyed the story, hit the Facebook page up and put a comment under the show. And like Doug said, rate, review, and subscribe.
Hey, in closing, Gene, everybody needs to stay tuned. There might be one or two more stories coming up before long. You never know. We got a couple of more.
Uh-oh. I think Tommy's talking about has something to do with blue lights. But anyway, we've got a million more stories, but a couple more to do with blue lights probably also.
Well, we look forward to all the great stories you guys have coming up here in the future on Dangerous Conversations. There's many more to be had. And also, as always, just want to remind everybody real quick before we shut it down, if you have questions, if you've got stories you want to hear or things you want to know about, you can send those questions to DougGilbertPodcast@Outlook.com or just post them there on the Facebook page, whichever you prefer, and they will make their way onto the show. I will ask Doug and Tommy, and they're more than happy to answer any questions you have.
Listen, Gene, thanks. And like Tommy said, man, we appreciate everybody listening. Thanks. Y'all be cool. Peace.
Before we get out of here, I just want to take a moment to remind everyone, if you have an upcoming wrestling show, autograph signing, collector show, Comic-Con, or any event or booking that you would like to inquire about the services of Dangerous Doug Gilbert and or Tommy Wildfire Rich, just send us an email at DougGilbertPodcast@Outlook.com, and someone will get back to you as soon as possible to get more information on your event and do the best we can to make that happen. Also, if you are interested in advertising your event, your business, your product to the listeners of Dangerous Conversations, as well as to promote your event, business, or product across all our social media platforms, you can send that inquiry to DougGilbertPodcast@Outlook.com. We would love to work together with you to get that out there to the listeners of Dangerous Conversations. Remember to check out DougGilbertPodcast.com. There you can find links to all things related to this podcast, as well as Doug and Tommy themselves. You'll find a link to the Dangerous Conversations Facebook page and the Dangerous Conversations Twitter, now known as X. And we're always posting content daily, involving the Gilbert family, Tommy Rich, all sorts of things from their career. We got magazine articles, videos, pictures, you name it. We're posting new content every single day. Make sure you follow so you don't miss out on any of that. Plus, you can follow Doug and Tommy's personal Facebook pages on there. Dangerous Doug Gilbert. You can search that on Facebook. You can also search Tommy Wildfire Rich. They both have Facebook pages. And Doug does have an X page as well, and you can follow them there. But if you really want to help support, you can go to the Gilbert Family Pro Wrestling Tees store, which there's a link to there on the DougGilbertPodcast.com. And you can find t-shirts of Doug, Eddie, and their famous father, Tommy Gilbert, as well. Also, Tommy Rich is going to be having some t-shirts coming up very soon. Follow him on Facebook. We'll be talking about him here. But look for some cool new Tommy Wildfire Rich t-shirts coming out soon that you can partake in as well. Also, if you've enjoyed the show, please subscribe, rate, and review the show on the platform of your choice. It would really help us in building up the podcast for the future. Plus, it helps us know what you like, what you don't like, where we need to take this podcast moving forward. Also, if you want to see a whole bunch of matches, promos, and angles, a lot of the ones that you're going to hear us talk about on this very podcast, you can go and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@RetroWrestlingArchive. Of course, it's linked right there at DougGilbertPodcast.com, and you will find a ton of matches featuring Eddie Gilbert, Tommy Gilbert, Doug Gilbert, Tommy Wildfire Rich. There's playlists of all them that feature hundreds of matches of each of them. So make sure you go check that out. And not just of them, there are thousands, literally, at this point, of videos from wrestling from across the territory days, you name it. If we don't have the video uploaded to our channel, we at least have organized you a playlist of just about every territory, every show that's out there. You can find it in one convenient location there on YouTube at the Retro Wrestling Archive. Plus, don't forget, you can find all things related to my popular Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast at uswapodcast.com. And last but certainly not least, we are proud to be a part of the Wrestlecopia Podcast Network. Go on over to Wrestlecopia.com to check out all the great pro wrestling related podcasts and various content that our friend Ray Russell provides you. You'll be glad you did. So thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next week for another episode of Dangerous Conversations with Dangerous Doug Gilbert and Tommy Wildfire Rich.
In the heart of Tennessee, born with pride, Doug and Tommy taking rings in stride. Memphis legends never backing down. Wrestling warriors, they wear the crown. You scurry away, glory in their veins. Fighting legends breaking chains. In the square circle they made their name. Podcast champions, it's their claim to fame. On the mic they roar, on the map they soar. Dangerous conversations, plans for you more. Podcast kings ruling the waves. Memphis wrestling raising the stage. From title belts to Hall of Fame, Doug and Tommy carved the name. Fists of fury and hearts of gold. Every story, every fight retold. Tales of glory, laughter, cry. Tennessee warriors with hearts open wide. sensations fans want to know.